We're here today on Life in the Past with Andrew Jackson to get an inside scoop on how he got started and find out how he really feels about the things that went down in his presidency. There are many things that went down that most people do not know about this national hero. Good afternoon, we're here with Mr. Jackson today. How are you, Mr. Jackson?
Good, glad to be here.
Glad that you could make it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Jackson.
Well, I was born on March 15th, 1767, to a widowed mother after my father passed away 3 days before my birth. As a young child, I fought in the Revolutionary War, serving as a courier before I was captured. After that, I became a lawyer and served in the House of Representatives and Senate for Tennessee. During the War of 1812, I came to national attention for my victory at the Battle of New Orleans. I was first nominated for the presidency in 1828, but I lost in a rigged election versus John Quincy Adams. I won the following election even with the slandering of my wife, Rachel.
So what happened with your wife?
She and I met at the age of 26 and we fell in love. The problem was that she was previously married. We were under the impression she had been divorced, but legally she hadn't been divorced yet. When we were married, she technically became a bigamist. During the election, they used that as tax on her character and mine.
So even with the attacks on your wife's character and yours, you still managed to be elected as president. While president, there were some issues with the bank. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was personally a supporter of the hard money position, which meant that I wanted all currency to be gold or silver. Because early in my life, I had been involved in a land and commercial speculation based on paper credit, and my business failed because the paper lost all value in the panic of 1797. This led to my business failing, and I fell into a tremendous amount of debt. And since the Bank of the United States ran on paper credits, when it was passed to be rechartered by Congress in 1832, I immediately vetoed the bill. Then, to weaken the bank even more until the end of its charter, I removed the government deposit from the bank. To do this, I had to go through a few Secretary of Treasuries, until finally, General Roger B. Taney started to put it in the money in a number of state banks. I blamed this recession in 1833 on Biddle, and if people came to me in protest, I would tell them, go to Biddle.
Another one of your finest moments as president was your handling of the nullification crisis of 1832. Can you share a little bit what happened there?
Unfortunately, the state of South Carolina was deceived by John C. Calhoun. He told them they could nullify the tariff of 1828 with no consequences, and could not have been more wrong. Since not following federal law is treason, I had to make a demonstration out of this. In order to do that, I enacted the Force Bill, which made it possible for me to take military action against them. This enabled me to deal out the discipline their actions required.
Well, you had many successes as the president, but what is the one thing that if you could go back and do it all over again, you would do differently?
I would have handled the Indian Removal Act differently. My attitude towards the natives was similar among white settlers. I wanted to give the people what they wanted, the Indians' land in the East. In order to do that, I had to force the tribes to relocate in the West. Most of the tribes went peaceably. However, the Cherokees out of Georgia did not move willingly. Unfortunately, I was compelled to use military action. This action led to the infamous Trail of Tears. If I could have changed what happened, I would have tried to peaceably negotiate with the Indian tribes and prevent any deaths from occurring.
We are just about out of time, Mr. Jackson. Can you give us the scariest moment in your life?
I remember it like it was yesterday. It was rather ironic, actually. I was leaving a funeral. This man who was visibly drunk came up to me. He pulled a gun and fired. It misfired. He pulled a second gun and fired again, and somehow it had not gone off. I then charged the man and began beating him with a cane. I would have beaten him to death if it had not been pulled back by a fellow gentleman.
Well, that is all that we have time for today. I'd like to thank Mr. Jackson for coming and taking the time to speak with us today.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Well, we really appreciated having you.
Appreciated being here.
I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Dr. Emmett Brown of the DeLorean Time Company, for providing us with the opportunity to speak with such a distinguished American hero.